The Terms of Service update in the US, November 2020. And it's not about small creators. Stick around. G'day, it's Doug from Doug Hewson YouTube, and today a video a little outside the ordinary. We're going to look at the hot takes and what people are saying about the YouTube Terms of Service, especially the right to monetize addition to the YouTube Terms of Service. So we're going to dive right in right now, and it's not what everyone's been saying. Let's check it out. First of all, you can see here on the screen is the YouTube official blog, and the main title of this is Updates to YouTube's Terms of Service. So let's look at it right now. This was published in November 18, 2020, and it says here, these new terms will be effective in countries outside the United States in mid-year 2021. So right now, this is only applying to the Terms of Service in the US of A. So if you're outside the US, you have some time to acclimatize to maybe some possible changes that are coming your way in your country sometime in 2021. Now we want to pay attention to what the documentation, not just the Terms of Service itself, but the documentation that comes with it to explain it and read the whole thing. There's a lot of hot takes because people aren't reading what YouTube have provided to them. They're reading the Terms of Service possibly, or they're just listening to what other people are saying and making their own minds up and getting opinions based on what people are saying. Today, we're going to dive into what it actually says and see what theories we can come up with that make sense to the words they use. So this is a bit of an overview, but particularly we want to look at the area about the right to monetization, which is basically explained in this section here. The second major change to the Terms of Service, which is ads can now appear on videos from channels not in the YouTube Partner Program, YPP, and we will begin gradually placing ads on brand safe videos. This is part of our ongoing investments in new solutions like home feed ads that help advertisers responsibly tap into the full scale of YouTube to connect with their audiences and grow their businesses. So this is interesting because this is talking about ads not on any specific videos, it just ads in feeds and stuff on the main YouTube pages so far. Advertisers will continue to have full access to our brand suitability controls, which means that they're still only going to be showing ads on brand-friendly content. Over the past 3 years, we improved our ability to identify appropriate placements for advertisers, in part by working closely with our advertising partners and industry organizations. Because these channels are not in YPP, there is no creator revenue share, but creators can still apply to YPP once they hit eligibility criteria, which remains the same. Now this is a bit of higgledy-piggledy. This whole section that we just read is a section we're focusing on this video. We're not looking at this latter half of right to monetize, where they're talking about royalties and things like that. That's for another video for someone who's more qualified in accounting and to talk about the US tax implications, because remember this is US only. They can talk about that. So we're not going to cover that. We're just looking at the right to monetize, the whole hubbaloo, how do you say that? Hubbaloo, about putting ads on videos and channels that aren't in the YPP. Now here it says, in part, working closely with our advertising partners and industry organizations. We can actually right click on this and open that. That is linking to something. Who are industry organizations? Working in part by closely working closely with our advertising partners. They're the people who are putting ads, or agencies who are putting ads on YouTube, and industry organizations. This is linked to the World Federation of Advertisers. So this is all talking about advertisers circling, giving more opportunities for advertisers to get ads on YouTube in different places that have never had ads before. Seems to me that there's going to be an increase in ads, not a decrease in ads. There's going to be more ad inventory out there. That's the gist I'm getting anyway. Let me know what you think. And because these channels are not in the YPP, now when I say these channels, because these channels, they're talking about the channels that they aforementioned at the top that are not in the YouTube Partner Program. We're gonna circle back around to what we're actually talking about in regards to channels that are not in the YPP. We're coming back to that, so stick around. Now we're going to jump to the actual terms of service. Let's read the actual term. Here it is, right to monetize. Now this is legalese. We're just going to read what it says, and then we're going to go to the documentation that accompanies it. Here we go. You grant YouTube the right to monetize your content on the service, and such monetization may include displaying ads on or within content or charging users a fee for access. So they could go either way. They could put ads, more ads on content, or they could charge users a fee to be uploading videos. Interesting, nobody's talked about this. These are just possibilities. This is just the broad strokes of the terms of service, what they're allowing that could possibly happen in the future. Their prerogative, of course, YouTube's prerogative. This agreement does not entitle you to any payments. Starting November 18, 2020, any payments you may be entitled to receive for YouTube under this agreement between you and YouTube and so on, talking about the royalty part, which we're not going to read into. We don't need to read that part because that is talking about royalties, and if required by law, Google will withhold taxes for such payments. That's a whole other video, not for me to talk about, for others who are qualified. So it's basically the first section of, it's the first half literally of the right to monetize. You grant YouTube the right to monetize your content on the service, and such monetization may include, operative word is may, include displaying ads on your content or within the content, or charging users a fee for access. Users is a broad term, but users could also include viewers and content creators possibly. This agreement does not entitle you to any payments. That is the whole section that we're discussing. When it starts talking about starting November 18, 2020, that is talking about the royalty part. Okay, we're jumping to the page, the YouTube help page from Jensen, a Google employee from Team YouTube, published 3 days ago from when I'm recording this in November 2020. We're going to scroll down to the part relating to the section, adding a new section to our terms of service, right to monetize. And then it quotes the section again there, and it says what has changed. We've added a new section, so it's a whole new section that wasn't there before in regards to what was written in the terms of service. And we want this first bullet point here. For channels not yet in the YouTube Partner Program, this is where they're going to give us some nuance and explanation. We added this new section to let you know that starting today, we'll begin slowly rolling out ads on a limited number of videos from channels not in the YPP. Did you catch it? People are glossing over this, skipping over this, not comprehending this maybe. I don't know why people aren't mentioning this. This is the first thing I'm pointing out today, and this is a doozy, and this is going to be what I'm going to talk about for most of the rest of this video. Starting today, we'll be slowly rolling out ads on a limited number of videos. Limited. We're coming back to that word. This means as a creator that's not in the YPP, you may see ads on some of your videos. Since you're not currently in the YPP, this is all being addressed to anybody who's not in the YPP, and we're going to discuss what that means in a minute. Since you're not currently in the YPP, you won't receive a share of revenue from these ads, though you still have the opportunity to apply for YPP as you normally would once you meet eligibility requirements. We know what that means. 4,000 hours of public watch time, 1,000 subscribers. Put your application in, get assessed, get approved or declined. You can always check your progress towards eligibility on the monetization tab in YouTube Studio. Okay, let's dive in. First thing I want to dive into, limited. Slowly rolling out ads on a limited number of videos from channels not in the YPP. What is the definition of the word limited? I'm glad you asked. Limited, confined within limits, restricted or circumscribed. A limited space, limited resources. Limited is a smaller number than some, and definitely a smaller number than many or most. So when we're referring to a group of something and we say it's most of something, that's like a majority. If it's some, it's probably less than half. Some could be 20 or 30%. Limited means it's a very, very small amount. Now remember this is qualified to channels not in the YPP. So videos of channels not in the YPP, only a limited amount of those are going to get ads. Which ones is the question? Which ones are going to get ads? Let's just hone in a little bit more on the word limited. Let's look at some synonyms of limited. Finite, narrow, bound, bounded, confined, constrained, controlled, delimited, fixed, precise, and so forth. So that all the definitions of the word limited is very limiting, really. It's not a broad stroke, it's a focused cross section. So they're looking at monetizing a particular focused set of YouTube videos that aren't in the YPP. Just to hone in on that one more time, look at the synonyms. We added this new section to let you know that starting today, we'll begin slowly rolling out ads on a limited number of videos. You could read that as, if we apply some of the synonyms of limited, a finite number of videos, a narrow number of videos, a particular number of videos, a fixed number of videos, a controlled number of videos. So you're getting the gist of what limited means. Good. I'm glad you're getting it. I'm glad you're starting to get this. Back to the blog post. Since you're not currently in the YPP, remember, this whole paragraph is for channels not yet in the YouTube Partner Program. If you're in the YouTube Partner Program, it doesn't apply. Who's left? Let's ponder this for a second. Who's left in the YouTube? Who's not in the YouTube Partner Program? Now, the obvious one that comes to mind is small creators who just come on the platform. They're still striving for their 4,000, 1,000. They're striving to get that. But that's just not it. There's more. There's more than just people who are small creators who are just starting out. Did you know there are large creators who have chosen not to be in the YouTube Partner Program? Why? Because they're monetizing off platform. They don't want ads on their content. They're monetizing through sponsorships, brand deals, merch opportunities, being very large channels. These are channels that are driving millions and millions and millions and probably billions of views. Not all of the big channels, but there's some who are selected because they've got an alternative monetization strategy. They might have a very large Patreon because it's based around a personality. They're promoting their own product or their own courses now. So they've chosen my viewer experience to be ad-free so that I can fully leverage my affiliates, leverage my sponsorships and brand deals and so forth. Is it starting to click yet? Is it starting to click yet? Okay. This is where we're going deep. This is where we're going deep. If these are very, very large channels who are getting millions and billions of views, YouTube are hosting all that content for free. YouTube aren't getting a cent because they're not rolling ads on them. The partners aren't in the YouTube Partner Program. So YouTube are like, we're paying for all this hosting. So we have two options. We can mandatorily pick some videos that are getting a large volume of traffic, which makes sense for advertising. Why would you want to put ads on a video that's only getting 100 views? It doesn't make YouTube anything at all, really. They want to put ads on videos that aren't monetized that are getting millions and millions of views. Hundreds and thousands and millions of views. Are you getting it yet? Are you getting it yet? So YouTube are actually going after those channels. They're not going after the small creators. The small creators, they're not coming after you or forcing you to have ads. There is an opportunity. There is a window for that to happen because obviously the YouTube terms of service is very broad and not non-specific. But the intention is what we're looking at here. The intention for YouTube is to actually go after these larger channels that have a lot of content on there being hosted. YouTube are hosting that at a very large expense, server space, bandwidth, all the other things that YouTube do in behind the scenes to make it all run smoothly, to get it to the people who want to watch it, to promote it, to have the algorithm push it to people's feeds, all the things that YouTube does, and they get nothing. They want to either push ads onto those videos, and because you're not in YouTube partner program, it's like, well, you can choose. You can be in the YouTube partner program and have those ads run, and then you'll get a cut and we'll get a cut. We're happy with that. But if you're not willing to do that, we're going to run ads anyway and take back some of the expense that your channel and your videos are incurring on YouTube as a service. And remember, there's another part to the terms of service that we saw, a little part in brackets that we saw, which was the two options. And such monetization may include displaying ads on the content within the content or charging users a fee for access. So what would you prefer? YouTube to put ads on your video to recoup some of the costs that you're incurring on your millions and billions of views of videos that you're not monetizing on YouTube because you're monetizing elsewhere? YouTube aren't getting a cut of the stuff that you're monetizing elsewhere. Instead, they could do that, or they could say, hey, you big channels, you're using our service for free. We're going to charge you X number of dollars per month because you've chosen not to be in the YPP. You should be in the YPP, but you're not. So we're going to charge you. I have no idea what YouTube would want to charge them. It's probably easier for YouTube, in their mind, to run the ads because then that's just generating income. So either way, they're now getting these larger channels that are chosen not to be in the YouTube partner program to either have ads run on their channel and YouTube recoup some of those costs that your channel is incurring on them, or YouTube will say, okay, if you decide you don't want ads and you don't want to be in the YPP, then we're going to charge you a fee. What fee would that be? I have no idea. We're going to charge you a fee. We're YouTube. We need to recoup the costs. We're going to charge you a fee. And it might be a fee based on the number of views you're driving per month. I don't know what logic they would use to do that, but it would be something like that. Now, can you see how all the hot takes we've had so far about the change in the terms of service, the addition of the right to monetize clause in the YouTube terms of service, is it really all about small creators? I think not. So if you're a small creator, what do you think? Does this make sense to you? That they're not actually targeting small creators, but they're targeting massive creators who are chosen not to be in. Most larger creators are in the YouTube partner program. They're generating revenue via ads already. This is why they've used the word limited. They've used the word limited because they're targeting a limited amount of large volume traffic channels and videos that are getting a free ride on YouTube. Now, I didn't make this up out of thin air. I got some information from somebody, nobody that I'm directly associated with, but I did hear some things along these lines. And when I heard it, it all clicked in place. And I started to ponder it, look through the terms of service, and this is what I've come up with. Let me know if this makes sense to you, or if you think that I'm clutching at straws. You know, it's to me, I'm not saying this is fact, but I'm saying this is a plausible theory based on the wording of the terms of service and the things that I have heard behind the scenes about what's going on in the YouTube creator space. Now, I'm expecting some very interesting comments in the comments below, so let me know what you think. If what I'm saying is true, then isn't that good news for small creators? Isn't it grounds for not giving up on YouTube because you think that YouTube is out to bleed you dry. But they're not out to bleed you dry. I don't think they're out to bleed you dry. They want you to succeed on YouTube. I think that they want you to be successful. I think they want you to be able to grow up a channel and enter the YouTube Partner Program so that you can be part of the creator process, contribute to the ecosystem of the platform, and also be benefited from the ecosystem of the platform. Small creators, rejoice. Well, that's my take on the YouTube Terms of Service right to monetize clause, the first part, of course. And I want to hear what you have to say. I do. I want to hear what you have to say. Keep it respectful in the comments. I'm putting this out there. I'm not saying this is fact. I'm saying this is a plausible theory. I want to know, does it make sense to you? Or can you pick holes in my theory? If you can pick holes in my theory, I'm all ears. Be respectful. Let me know in the comments below. Well, as you can see, this is Doug from Doug Hewson YouTube. And I'll see you in the comments.
Subscribe to Doug Hewson YT for more tech or content creation.